Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Thank you so much for joining us. We are currently live on Facebook and YouTube because X is saying we require to create live broadcasts. So please upgrade to premium subscription on X. Do we have a premium subscription?
I'm not paying for that.
Okay, so I'm just going to remove that. We're going old school. Facebook, YouTube. We don't need all that other stuff. We can just share a link later, right?
Yeah, I'm not paying for anything from them.
They're dumb. Anyways, thank you so much.
Especially because they called it X. If they had left it at
the
Twitter,
Twitters.
maybe I would join in on it.
Well, we are obviously on Facebook, YouTube. We're on Instagram, DumbX, Blue Sky Hive, and of course, check out our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. All right, we have a variety of movies to talk about.
Yeah, for the first time in a while, we've seen all of them except for.
Both seen all of them.
We've seen all of them.
We both saw. Yeah. It's shocking.
There's one other one, but we're going to hold it for next week.
Yeah, there's one that I watched, and I was just like,
that could be anything on the planet.
I know. It could even be a horror movie that got me in the feels, because that has happened. Okay, this dog just laid on my foot completely. She doesn't even care that my foot's there. Her fat roll is on top of me.
She cares as much as I do about my hair.
Well, obviously.
I'm literally in the same shirt that I put on when I got this morning, and my hair looks the same as
You never brushed your hair, did you?
I did not. I didn't brush anything. I'm literally like I did when I got up this morning. I haven't gone anywhere.
Did you brush your teeth? Wow, dude.
That wasn't by design. I got up. The dogs wanted to go out. So I came downstairs, put the dogs out.
Who put the dogs out?
And then I went back upstairs. I did. And then I went back upstairs and had to go to the restroom because I'm a senior citizen. And then I went to my office and I started working. And I didn't think a thing about it at the time.
No, of course not.
Then my daughter came over. She already smelly, so she doesn't know the difference.
She doesn't care.
No, she came over, hung out for a while. And then my class ended up getting canceled. Because that's when I usually would have been like, oh, crap, I haven't done these things. I got to get ready for class. And I'd be brush everything. My arm hair, my head hair, my teeth, everything, my teeth hair. But then I didn't have class. So I just went back to work and kept working. And then we had some other things going on.
We live very different lives on Sundays. I got up early at 7:30, got ready, got dressed, went to church. Praise the Lord. Went to go eat lunch, came home, took a nap. I built that shoe case, which actually is going to be a purse case. Yeah. Been kind of productive, I guess. Got ready for the show.
Your 1 day of productivity is nothing compared to my normal productivity.
That's not true. I'm productive.
No, you're normally working. Productivity is what I'm talking. I'm not talking about your work. I even know you work your ass off. I'm talking about life productivity. Oh. I'm the one that's usually doing a lot. Like I did wash the dishes today.
That's good. Thank you.
Normally I would have mowed the lawn today.
Because I'm about to make more mess.
Oh, I'm aware. I normally would have mowed the lawn today too, but when it was raining and our lawn didn't really need to be mowed yet.
It's gonna now with this rain. It's gonna rain all week.
It'll need to be. I know. And so by the next weekend when it's supposed to be, that'll be time to mow again.
Mm-hmm. Anyways.
But yeah, I got a lot of my work done. I'm on art deadlines, so I got like 5 cards left to draw. And yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, let's talk about some movies, babe.
All right, I guess so. If we have to.
Yeah, let's talk about this one right here.
I feel like that's all we do here.
That's what we do. Let's talk about this movie. This is The Last Stop in Yuma County. Tell me about it, babe.
Well, it's one of those movies that's... It's kind of this quirky... It made me feel very much like a Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez type movie.
Yeah.
Where it's just this group of people that all converge into this one little area that's like a hotel and a diner. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much it. And they're all there for different reasons, but they're all kind of forced into connection with the situation that goes on. And then like a lot of quirky dialogue, and then some violence, and then madness, if you will.
Exactly. I felt like this could have been a play, like a stage show.
It could have been.
The way it's laid out, because it is. It's everybody in a room. Everybody is basically stranded at this gas station, diner, hotel, like you said. They're all waiting for gas. The gas truck hasn't shown up.
Yeah, and the gas station.
And the gas is out of gas. Yeah. The
gas station is connected to the diner and the hotel.
Yeah, so it's one of these little things.
Yeah, it's all one big thing.
But like in small towns. And everybody needs gas because they need to get to where they're going. So you got one guy that's trying to get home to his daughter. You got some shady guys who look like they're suspicious. You've got there's an older couple that's just trying to get to where they're going. We're trying to get somewhere.
Then you got the people that work at the hotel, that work at the diner, You have
got
a local.
that local guy who's just stopping for lunch. You got the young couple who I think that girl wants to be famous or something, or he does. I don't know.
And then you have the sheriff and the deputy.
That deputy is dumb.
He was, but
Anyway.
you can see he was just so busy trying to please everybody and be a really good deputy. But he was also mistreated. So anyway, so it's one of those films that I actually ended up enjoying this movie quite a bit. It doesn't go anywhere. So I will say there's some twists and turns because it's one of those where you're watching it and you keep waiting to find out how are all these people connected.
Right.
Did they get converged here on purpose?
Right.
And the reality is none of them are connected. That's not a spoiler. It's but
one of those
because of their circumstance and the situation that kind of unfolds, they then become connected.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that I think that could happen to anybody where you're somewhere and some other person, because of what they're into, kind of gets everyone in that place involved.
Yeah.
And the only thing we know was the radio report tells us there was a bank robbery.
Yes.
That's all we know.
Yeah.
And so people, I think, are all suspicious of each other. You're stuck here.
Did any of these people rob the bank?
And you're stuck here. You can't get out because there's no gas to get out.
And I think one of the creepiest guys, and he wasn't even legitimately creepy, but he came off a little very suspect compared to everybody else, was the guy that was a salesman. He was a knife salesman.
Yes, he's a traveling salesman.
So you keep wondering, is this guy some sort of a serial killer?
Yeah.
Crazed?
Yeah.
You know, and some of the things are exactly what you think, and some of them are absolutely nothing you think about.
Correct.
And some of it is so really simple, good. It's not even a thing.
Yeah, that guy, Jim Cummings, the knife salesman, he's awkward.
Did he direct the movie too?
No. But he's so awkward. And at one point she's like, "Well, since you're here, do the sales pitch." And he's like, "Well, I need a can and a tomato so I can show you how it cuts." She's like, "No, I can see the knife shop." He's like, "No, I can't do the presentation without a tomato and a can." And she's like, "Okay." So he's just awkward and quirky. And then
but that's everybody.
He makes me weird and suspicious. I love, and I hope you did too, the old couple.
Yeah.
Because that's like going to be us. When and then. Where they are, everybody's all like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
But now it's just like,
I'm a huge fan of Richard Brake, who is the old guy. He's the older gentleman, the one right there on the center line with the gun, with the blue or black vest jacket or whatever, with the gun. This guy right in the middle. I love him. I love him in everything. He does a lot of like horror films, and he's currently on Mayor of Kingstown. He was in Devil's Reject stuff, which this movie kind of made me feel like. The hotel sequence in Devil's Reject.
I have a laser pointer.
So
this guy.
Anyway, I love him. So I was always sold to watch this movie because he was in it. He was one of those kind of character actors that I love.
Yes.
He's creepy, so it's even creepier when he plays like nice people roles.
Yeah, well, he wasn't nice people.
Because when he's like super nice, he comes off creepy. But then I've heard he's like one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. It's so funny. But yeah, this movie, it's not hyper violent, but it has one violent scene. It's more than one, I guess, but one predominantly violent scene that kind of happens out of nowhere.
Yeah,
and it happens early,
and it was awesome.
Yeah, and it happens early and unexpectedly. You see it set up, but you think, okay, this can't be going down. This got to be. There's still way too much time in this movie, and it goes down. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, I told you, I like. There's this one scene with the little old man, and you see those guys have some guns out, so everybody's. It's one of those.
Yeah.
And they're like, "We'll let you go." Isn't that right, old timer? He's like, "I guess." He goes, "But I don't know how that's going to work out." And I'm just like, oh my gosh, because it's one of these.
Yeah, everybody's got guns on everybody.
So it is actually a very unexpectedly good movie.
Yeah,
wasn't expecting
it's one of those that, like, I was intrigued in it because I like these kind of movies, but it does kind of suck you in because you're just, there's nothing overly special about it.
No.
But you're just so quirky. Invested in trying to figure out these people's stories when really there's nothing actually happening.
Yes. Like
they're just talking, whether it's about the breakfast or about the gas or the room or whatever. You're just getting involved in what they're saying and like, are they telling the truth? What's about to happen? And then nothing's really happening. And then when something does happen, you're like, wait a minute. What I will say, by the time the movie ends, it was one of those that I'd felt like there was no point to that movie, but I enjoyed it enough to where it didn't matter, if that makes sense. It kind of had a life ending where it just is the end of it, and that's how life moves on. It was definitely one of those I wasn't sure how you would connect to it because you're hit and
Yeah,
miss with these kind of
because
movies.
sometimes the things that are quirky and weird are too weird for me.
Yeah.
But this one, I think because I was in a good place on what that day that I was watching it, I was actually
You were in a
paying
mentally good
attention.
place.
I was in a good place at
Okay.
work too, like doing work. I was feeling productive that day, so I was like, yeah, I can turn this movie on. But and the thing, like you said, that got me the most was the salesman being weird,
Yeah.
and then the old people crack. And then I liked the two skeezy looking dudes.
Yeah, the deputy is frustrated.
Oh my gosh, I want to just smack him. Smack him.
Anyway, The Last Stop in Yuma County is available now on Blu-ray and DVD, and you can go to our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com
and enter to win a copy for yourself.
Yes, get your copy for free. Okay, are you okay if we go here?
Yeah, whatever.
All right. I've been waiting to watch this forever. We missed this one at the theater. This is the movie Abigail, and I like this poster. It said, "Children can be such monsters."
We also missed the original release of Blu-ray and DVD too.
What happened?
They didn't send it to me, and we didn't get a chance. We had to skip the screening. There's a lot of life happening.
Life happening.
So we were planning to just pay and rent it, and then it popped up on Peacock. So it's now streaming on Peacock. So we got to sit down, and this movie is from the same people that made Ready or Not and the last two Scream movies. They're called, what are they called? Radio Silence? Is that what they're called? Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, they call themselves. It's Matt Olpin and Tyler Gillett, but they call themselves Radio Silence. You'll see directed by Radio Silence. They're like a duo.
And then because that one girl from Scream is in it.
Yes, the one that got fired.
Supposedly.
No, she got fired.
Okay.
It's the other one that nobody really knew because she kind of left. Because she said some things about the Israel war thing, whatever. Anyway, what is this one about?
It is about this little girl, Abigail, who you see in the trailer and here in our poster.
Missed opportunity. This should have been played by Abigail Breslin.
She is a vampire.
Spoiler.
It tells you that.
I know.
So basically, the trailer tells us they kidnapped this little girl, thinking they're going to ransom her for money, and then she ends up fighting back because she's a vampire. You see that in the trailer.
That's all we know. I will say the trailer is misleading.
Yes.
Because the story is not what you think the story is.
No, and I loved that. Yeah. That's
why I don't buy into a lot of the trailers and feel spoiled as much as I used to. Because a lot of times when it's something so obvious, I'm like,
it's too obvious.
Like that movie Trap coming out. Mm-hmm. I think there's more to that than we're seeing. Yeah, I've told you one of my theories.
Yeah.
That there's something else going on here because they seem to be showing a lot.
Yeah, and I don't want to know.
And I can't imagine him not Shyamalan.
There's no way M. Night would. He wants to throw you for a loop on purpose.
This one, there is another element to this movie that's more than what they've led you to believe. Mm-hmm. I will say I was also very excited to watch this movie. And when it first started, I was very concerned because I was not enjoying it. It was a little slow. I was kind of bored initially, and I was like, "Oh no, this movie's not good." And then it was taking kind of forever to get anywhere.
It's a little bit slow.
It's character building. It's not bad.
No.
It's just, and some of it could have been my own anticipation of I know where this is going, and I'm ready to get there because we waited so long to watch it.
Yeah.
So it may just be that. So I will take some blame of my own. It may be my own impatience.
It was you.
It was ready to see some blood go. And I'd also been hearing a lot of comments about how this movie is so insanely gory, and then the first couple of kills are not. So then I started getting concerned: are these people full of crap?
Mm-hmm.
But then it goes off the rails.
Yes.
In the best way possible.
Crazy train.
Yeah, it becomes buckets of blood, gallons of blood.
Yes. And I loved it.
I did too. I really enjoyed it.
It's one of those type. And I think the funniest line too at the beginning when they're like, "Oh my gosh, he's a vampire." So then they're like, "What do we know about vampires?" And then she's like, "Well, which one? Like Anne Rice or Twilight or like which kind of vampires?" And then the one person's like, "Vampires aren't real." And I'm like, "Dude, you just saw what we saw." They're like, "No, vampires aren't real." So you have all that discussion. So I liked the direction of this style of vampire because this is not a style you get often, because I think it is difficult to film this kind of stuff because once you film that, you got to start all over if you want another take, unless it's all CGI.
Yeah, no,
and I feel like this was practical.
Yeah, they used practical.
People were getting splattered.
Yeah, I'm sure the explosion part was CGI.
But at least there was at least someone doing this.
There was somebody throwing blood at somebody and around the room.
Which I appreciated that so much.
So I will say that I felt this movie could very well exist in the same world as Ready or Not. It felt like the same vibe. Even the house had the same
weird
visual aesthetic as the
Yeah.
other movie.
Yeah.
But it's still its own thing. And
Let me see if
I
I've seen
liked
that
everybody in the movie, but this little girl,
one. This little
Alicia
girl
Weir,
was
she was
actually
fantastic.
really good, and
Like-
you never expect that because you're like kids are so annoying.
Well, and her, she plays up the innocent victim. Then she's just a straightforward, almost like you're listening to an adult speak.
Yes.
And then just the chaotic evil of what she does. And you mix all that with her ballet dancing.
That was so cool.
Which I read a thing that said that she was so good at some of the ballet stuff, they extended the scenes to make them longer because they thought she was good and they wanted to showcase it.
Oh, that's sweet.
But she's doing ballet, which sounds stupid. She's doing ballet while she's murdering people. But it works. It's almost martial arts like.
It felt very like Joker in a way.
Yeah.
You know how Joker's crazy and it does all these things.
Yeah, but hers was very almost like she was Jim Cotta-ing it. Where she was using the ballet merging with martial arts that hit stuff. And, But I never once felt this is ridiculous.
No, it all worked.
Yeah.
Everything worked, even if it was a little over the top at times. I loved it.
And I always want to give props to actors that spend that much time covered in blood.
Yeah, that's
or covered in anything for that matter.
Uncomfortable.
Because she spends a lot of the movie with just all over her face. But there's other actors that are running around and they're just soaked from head to toe.
And that's what I was gonna say. I like the practical use of the blood because they don't clean it up, and there's moments where people are trying to walk and they're just slipping.
Yeah.
And no one's like, "Oh, we need to retake that." No, they just
that's
let
always
it
the impressive thing of like
just let it
happen. You can always see from scene to scene. Blood starts coagulating and drying on you.
That poor girl had it looked like dry crust.
Yeah, it starts looking cracking and stuff. So they have to reapply it every day to film that scenes. And then they got to do a different thing to try to make it look dry, or they put it on there, and then throughout the day it finally looks, and the other times it looks moist. And so it's really hard on film to.
But they did a great.
But she eats people so many times, it stays moist.
Yeah.
But they do everything from decapitating. With blood spewing, people vomiting blood, people exploding blood everywhere, intestines. There's one of my favorite scenes. It's such a throwaway moment of somebody blows up on somebody else and they're laying there and they're picking their intestines up. They're not bothered by they're covered in blood, but they're picking intestines ugh.
Yeah.
It's the chunks that get you.
It's interesting. You mentioned the house. They actually used a real manor in Dublin, Ireland, instead of a studio.
Yeah,
which I like. And you get the feel like that house looks old and creepy and got the weird basements, and I was just like, okay.
My only disappointment.
Oh.
And it's not even a disappointment problem. It was, I think, more of something I wanted. There's a whole thing about her father, and there is a story there that the original title of the movie says who her father is, so we kind of know when you meet him. I'm assuming you got the same vibe. When he says I've been called by many names and whatever, so you get the idea of who he is.
Assume.
I'm talking cryptic because I don't want to spoil it, but it doesn't take much to figure out who you think he is.
I think too, if you understand, this is what gave it to me, that.
Oh yeah.
That's what gave it to me.
Yeah.
But I know that from seeing.
But the original title had that name in the title,
did
so
it?
it's not. That was not supposed to be a secret.
Okay. Well,
but
I never paid attention.
My thing that was disappointing was the reveal, because I was.
It was too
It was almost like, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, it was very much just boop.
Yeah,
instead of being ooh.
But I get too, because he's not supposed to be the focal point of the film.
It's her.
But they even leave the film to where if they decided to dive back into this, they could.
Yes.
I don't know how they would make it work in a different way, but at the same time, it's a movie it's fantastic. It sits really well on its own. If you like blood and gore, but also some fun, it works. It's it knows what it is.
Yeah.
And so it's not a comedy, but it has comedy elements.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the things that I appreciate.
It's almost lighthearted gore.
Yes, about most vampire gory. I don't know. I find the fun in most vampire things, but I'm team vampire. But I appreciated it because you cannot have this massive amount of blood and guts, whatever, without being fun.
Yeah, when you get
In a
into
way.
when you get into this kind of blood level, it gets ridiculous
Yes.
to the point where you're
You
like,
have to have
you're
a
just
little
having a good
bit.
time with it, or you're grossed out by it. One of the two.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It was. It's a fantastic film. So if you want to check out Abigail, hopefully we didn't spoil anything for you.
Yeah,
There's not a lot of big twists and turns, but some of the story elements, things like that. But it is just a fun flick.
it is, and
So-
I appreciate the rating because it allowed us to do all of what.
Oh yeah, they went all in.
You have to.
Just trust me, it takes a little while for it to get to that point.
Yeah, just
But
stick
once
with
it does, they do the big tease kills where it's like there's one guy that's beheaded and there's no blood. You don't see much of anything. So that's what I was looking at. Like, really. But then that circles back to that scene again, and it's even more gory. And I'm like, okay, I'm here for this.
Mhm.
So anyway, check out Abigail. It's available on the Blu-ray, DVD, digital, and streaming on Peacock.
Check it.
If you have Peacock, you can just watch it right now.
Go after our show. I'm gonna watch it again.
Yeah, don't watch it while we're doing our show.
Okay, we're going here.
All right.
The next one I was also excited to see. This is My Spy, The Eternal City, the second in the My Spy series. I'm going to say it's a series because I want them to keep doing more because I like that little girl. And I like Dave Bautista being fun.
All right.
That's just me.
We'll say that. So in 2020, the movie My Spy kind of came out of left field. I believe it went straight to Amazon Prime. It was not a theatrical release. So we got to watch it during the COVID times.
Yes.
And if you don't know the story, it's about a guy that's like an assassin, hitman, operative, whatever you want to classify him, who is tasked with doing a stakeout to watch this girl and her mom, and ends up having to deal with this little girl who discovers him, and she wants to be a spy, and blah, blah, blah. So it's like an action family comedy. And so the end of it, it's a lot of cliched stuff. You kind of figure out what happens.
He ends up with the mom.
Yeah, so the sequel picks up a few years later. The girl's getting bigger. Him and the mom are in a relationship. He's basically a desk jockey now. He's not the big bad spy that he was. He still is, but he's not shooting people and beating people up. He's making muffins and he's trying to be a home person. He's
trying to be a good stay-at-home dad
while still training her and doing all that crazy stuff. I was looking forward to watching this. I wasn't excited. I do love Dave Bautista, and I love that he goes in where he kind of makes fun of himself as well as takes himself serious, and he's really become a good actor, I think. And he's done a wide variety of stuff, and I like that no matter how many different things he does, he'll circle back to something like this.
Yes.
He'll do a Dune, a James Bond movie, or a Blade Runner movie, or some action galaxy, whatever, and then he comes back and does something simple like this. And they brought a lot of the original cast back as well as some new people.
Yeah.
So that was fun. So what did you think of this? Oh, the new one. Sorry, the new one. It's kind of this cliche story. I always hate when they do this, but it's kind of how they set up. But he ends up being a chaperone on a field trip to where are they in Italy?
They go to Rome.
Rome. That's Italy.
That is Italy. You're correct.
Thank you.
We've been there.
I know that. They go on. He's chaperoning a trip, not meaning initially to be a part of a case for the girl, and then Kim Jong's son goes as well, and so he's there, and then of course it turns into they use it as a case and some other stuff, and then then it's basically the Spider-Man movie where they went on
the field
trip, and then they said go watch these people while you're there.
And then he has to reveal his secret identity.
It's Spider-Man with no superheroes.
There you go.
What do you think?
I really liked it, but I really liked the first movie because I just like him doing fun things, like I said. And so I just thought this was super cute. Is it cliche? Yes. A little bit predictable? Absolutely. But it was fun. And I like Ken Jeong just being fun. And what's her name? Kristen Shaw.
Yeah, she's hilarious.
She's hilarious.
She was a little, so I think we lost a little of her. Well, we lost a little of her, the fun to her, I think, that we had in the last movie, because the last movie, that was my big fear with this movie, is the whole thing that makes the first movie kind of work is she wants to be an agent, he doesn't want to help her.
Right.
The little girl kind of wants to be an agent, he decides to help her, but they don't get along.
Right.
You have Ken Jeong, but he was only kind of a backup character. He wasn't in the first one as much.
Not as much.
So this one, he's in a little bit more. She's now kind of a full-fledged agent, so she's a little more serious, not as dunderheadish. The girl's a little more trained and kind of not as interested in doing this stuff, so I was afraid it was going to lose the dynamic. And I think it did on some level, but they also found different ways. I think the puberty and the family dynamic kind of makes it some other stuff.
Yeah.
And it's also by taking him out of the action, Batista, it changed the dynamic. So he's not fighting people constantly through the whole movie, but he does get in on some action.
Correct.
And when he does finally have to unleash, he's like, "Forgive me," and then he just turns into the old Batista from the last movie.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of by the numbers, but it's a cute movie. I really liked it. I thought it was fun. My favorite thing in the whole thing is the very, very end with Craig Robinson.
Oh, Lord.
Which I know has nothing to do with the movie, but stay till the very, very end.
I was really surprised seeing Flula Borg as like
him.
an action
Yes.
assassin type guy.
Because he's normally just funny and dumb.
He is. He's hilarious. But in this movie, he was kind of a badass.
Mm-hmm.
And I could kind of see him being like a badass action type hero. He was like kind of ripped and he was kicking ass. And
because normally he just shows up and does a dumb accent.
No, that's his.
No, it's
he's
not.
German, yes,
but not that much.
Well,
Sometimes
I'm sure he sells it. I'm sure he sells it, but
like
yes.
when he's in the other movies, the singing movies, he's over the top.
Well, yeah, but that's still part of his accent. He's just embellishing his same accent.
Well,
don't say his dumb. Don't say his dumb accent. That's
no,
like
because
your dumb
he
accent.
does it over the top. Because in this one is not like that.
I know, but that's still his accent.
Okay,
he's just
sorry. He goes over the top on it.
Anyway.
Oh, good, my foot is free. My foot's asleep.
It's a fun movie. It's exactly the movie you know you're going to get. Is it great? No, but it's worth checking out. I wouldn't mind seeing more from them, but at the same time, I don't know if there's really more to tell unless we get to waiting long enough to get the girl older and make her an actual spy.
She's signing up to be a CIA agent. Here's the one thing that bothers me in the first movie and this movie is he's just like, yes, I work for the CIA. What? You would never tell people that, would you?
I mean, once they realize they're in the militia, then yeah, you'd have to.
No, but he did it that one time at the school show and tell.
Well, yeah.
And this one he did on the field trip. It's so dumb.
No, but it's also dumb that they're letting this girl go on any kind of missions. That would never happen either.
Okay, fine.
This is very my Agent Cody Banks nonsense. So you have to buy into the crap of that stuff too. But that's the cliche of Spy Kids, Agent Cody Banks.
Yo, you watched all those Cody Banks.
I did because that was during my kids were growing up. I like the first Agent Cody Banks. The second one not so much. I like the Spy Kids, the first two Spy Kids movies.
Yeah, you've seen all those too.
But
Lord have mercy.
Why does everybody go to London? I don't know who's in the third. Oh, that's the third.
Destination London.
I think
that's what it is.
Movies.
Yeah, it's just those two.
Yeah.
Who knows? They want to go to Europe. That's where you go.
Yeah, so My Spy is streaming now on Prime.
Check it.
You can actually watch both films on Prime. You do need to watch first if you're going to watch the second one. It doesn't make any sense.
Don't be that person.
But it's also not so complicated that you can't figure it out.
I know, but it's fun to watch the first one.
Yeah.
All right, next. We're going to the movie that is currently available on Disney Plus, Young Woman and the Sea, starring Rey from Star Wars.
Her name is Daisy Ridley.
And/or Daisy Ridley, Rey from Star Wars.
All right.
Basically, this is based on the true life story of Trudy Ederle, the first woman to swim across the English Channel.
And I had zero interest in this movie.
I did too, but I was like, I like Daisy Ridley.
I like her.
Let's give it a shot.
And I did a story about it, and I just was like,
that last movie she did, I didn't particularly care for. It was okay.
Well, that's
Swamp King.
Yeah, the problem with that movie is that was a lot of build up and it went nowhere.
This
like
one,
it didn't give us the vengeance thing that we expected to get. That was a missed opportunity movie while being wrapped in a good movie.
Yeah.
This one was surprisingly good.
Yeah, and at least, I mean, we get a somewhat of a true story. People were like, oh, this isn't real, like absolutely what happened. But it's pretty close. If you go...
if you watch any movie, none of it's exactly what happened because they have to shrink some of the stories and kind of mix certain characters into one character.
Yeah,
and
so it is kind of what happened to good old Trudy Ederle.
Here's my thing with this movie. I had no interest in the movie. It just didn't seem overly exciting. I felt like it was going to be a slog. I didn't figure out how exciting could we watch somebody swimming.
It's pretty interesting.
Being a period piece, I didn't know if it was going to work well. 20s. It was just one of those that just didn't catch my attention.
Mm.
But it's one of those I'm also was wanting to see. I just wouldn't have. If you hadn't said let's watch it, I probably would have just watched that in the future, maybe.
Okay.
I had originally said, oh, we got to watch that for the show, but not I want to watch that.
Mm.
But after the end of it, like it is, I think I really enjoyed it. I think it does have some issues that I had with it that we'll go into. But as a whole, I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Learning about something that we didn't know about. I mean, I didn't ever pay attention to who had swam the English Channel. Now I know a lot more about it, but
Are you gonna go swim the English Channel now?
no, I'm not going to swim anywhere because I don't swim. But
That's how I know she's allowed to be in the United States, ladies and gentlemen.
just learning, about her story, what she went through, what women have gone through to be able to compete professionally and in the Olympics. It touches on all of that. So it's actually a very interesting story.
Agreed.
Now, what are your issues?
So, and that's kind of that's kind of my issue with the movie. Is I found it. I really enjoyed learning about her. I liked it. It's a stereotypical, inspirational sports film, if you will. I know it's not a sport, but it is.
It is.
My issue is I think that it runs a little longer than it needs to in the way it's formatted, because they spend a lot of time, and I know the importance of what they were trying to do. They spent a lot of time dealing with the family life and the build up to getting to the swim stuff. Very little time with her career as a swimmer. And I would have liked to see more of her struggles in training and the competitions. And, I know she may not have had that many struggles in the competitions themselves, but it would have built up to make me understand why she thinks she could actually do this swim other than I want to, and it wasn't a flaw because I also understand what they were doing. They were trying to show the plight of women. They were trying to show the struggles they were going through to even be able to do the sports. But I think because you're trying to focus on this and this at the same time, it brought both of them down just a little bit. The plight of the women thing stays on top because you deal with it all through the secondary race as well. So it has that ability to overpower it because it's really the message in the whole story. It's about the human spirit and women being able to stand up and be strong women and do things, and it changed sports history for women, and that kind of thing. And in that, I think it's an important movie for that. I just would have liked to see more of her career as a swimmer leading to see that.
Yeah, and they do skip over or really, really condense down all the training, because after her first attempt, she did go back and she did train with that guy, but like actually intense training just to go back and do it again. In the movie, that's kind of sped up a little for us.
Because if not, it would have to be like a 4-hour movie.
Correct.
But I get that.
Which I get and I understand. I think too, for me, in addition to her and the other women, trying to make history, they weren't trying. They were just trying to be treated equal and be able to compete as women professionally and in the Olympics. That whole thing, they were treated wrong. But I think too, her as a person, I admire in a way, because we're in the 1920s, where as a woman, you were expected to get married, have kids, help your family in the family business, right? Because that's what her sister did. She never actually got married.
Where's the problem with any of this?
Or had kids and all that. I mean, she did her own thing. She ended up,
alone.
Teaching kids how to swim, deaf children how to swim, so.
Please tell me she drowned.
She did not. No. She died of an old age. She was
from oldness.
98 years old. And remember, they didn't even think she was going to make it when she was a child. And, so I just think it's really, really interesting.
It's well done. I think
it's a really good
movie.
Think
where the sports type idea of the film is cliched, because we've seen it a billion times. The period aspect of it and being what it was, especially seeing how they handle, like while she's swimming, doing the English Channel swim, she can't make contact with anybody. They can't help her, or they can give her stuff to eat or whatever, but they can't touch her. And so seeing how they had to do that, seeing how they did to do the press, seeing how they had to do communications in a time where we didn't have the stuff we have today, made it more interesting. Seeing like, okay, all the press are on a ship trying to tell their story, so they got to put their stuff in a bottle, throw it out. They have to collect the bottles so they can put them on pigeons.
That was driving me crazy.
And they fly to shore and then do and then
oh my God.
So the lady, like, there's one element where there's a radio station getting the updates from the telegraph or whatever, and the mom had to go sit in the radio station, and she's like, I'm staying here so I can get the update. But that update can be an hour behind. By the time they get it, it's already an hour later. Something else is already going on that they don't even know about yet. So that stuff, I think, made it more compelling, and it was pretty interesting. And they shot it well enough to just watching a swim should have been boring.
No,
When
it
you
was
kind of get
actually
into
really
it,
interesting.
it's a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was actually really good.
I
And
would. It's not one I
unexpected.
would have wanted to see at the theater, but it is one it's stream on Disney Plus. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect kind of
And I
movie.
actually told my friends about it. I'm like, this was actually a really good movie. You should check
Your
it out.
boss might have watched this too because it's a real life type story.
Yeah, and because it's unexpected. It's not one of these. It's like big attention grabbing, but
No.
it's a really good movie. So
Yeah.
that's why I was sharing it with my friends because I was like, this is probably one that's totally under your radar.
This is the
But
most
it was-
impressive thing. You have friends.
I do have friends, but you know what? I really, really liked this
It
movie.
was pretty good.
Um,
For a movie I had no interest
Yeah.
in, I really enjoyed it.
that's it. I was just trying to see like how much she trained or what did she do.
She was on a studio. She just didn't really swim.
I think she really swam.
She didn't swim
She
legal,
had to
so.
be but she had to be in the water forever.
Oh, I'm sure.
I would be dying. I would be like, no,
I can't even
thank
get you to take a bath.
I know. That's too
Yeah.
much.
The Young Woman in the Sea is streaming now on Disney Plus.
Alrighty, check it out.
And what else we got, sister?
Next, we have the last movie here. Was this the #1 movie?
It sure, in fact, was. It surpassed expectations. We're talking about the movie Twisters, the sequel to the 1996. Yeah, 1996 original film Twister that had Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton.
Oh,
Um,
gosh, I didn't even.
It's a movie that didn't need a sequel, and yet here we are. It's one of those things that you go into. I was really on the fence with this movie because I was excited for it because I love Twister. I love the original movie. I saw it numerous times at the theater. It was just one of those I was blown away by that movie.
Right.
But it was 1996. The special effects were way off the charts back in the day because we
It
hadn't
was
seen
awesome
stuff like
back
that.
then.
To watch a movie like this now, you expect it. Like we've seen billions of movies now that can make tornadoes and weather and all this stuff, and it's not as impressive because we just know they do it now. It's not. If you watch an entire movie like The Avengers or something, you're like, okay, they can do anything. We're not overly surprised. So there had to be something there to really make us care.
Exactly.
Make it work.
Make me care.
You're also dealing with a legacy that's a very popular film, also from an actor who passed away. And are they going to try to force connections?
Yeah, I was like, where's Helen Hunt?
Which is actually, it's the kind of series though that you don't need to connect it.
Correct.
Because it's just tornado chasers and they're all over the world or whatever.
They do exist.
You know, so it's not, I say world, but they're all over the place. And they may not even know each other, have to interact with each other, be different states or whatever. So there are some nods to the original, but don't go into it expecting like a full connection to the original because it's not. And I was kind of glad of that because then I think it would have felt forced.
I wanted it. I wanted everybody. Well, I can't tell you who's who, but I want everyone to be related.
I didn't.
And
want
I can't
any,
tell you if
I
they
hate
are or
that.
not.
So I'm so tired of that.
No.
I'm tired of every movie having to be related or connected to the one before it. When it's a subject like this, it's not necessary.
But it's cool if it is.
Yeah, for that moment, you're like, oh, cool. Of course they are. You know, like, yeah, because everybody I know has gone into the exact same business as their parents. I don't know anybody that's ever gone in the same business as their parents.
All Mexican people.
You have not in any business your parents are in.
Kind of, but not really.
Your mother worked at the city. Your dad's a pastor.
I am a minister.
You work for a non-profit company as like a
county
CEO, whatever,
like
highfalutin thing.
I'm helping people.
You help people, but you're not. I mean, I know you do church stuff. That's not your job. That's your dad's job. My dad worked at Kraft.
Fine.
My mom.
You did have an opportunity to work at the Kraft.
No, I couldn't work at the Kraft.
But you can now.
I can now, but I'm not working at Kraft.
They're hiring. You want me to pull it up? I'll do an application.
You want to get knocked out of the chair?
I sure don't. Not right now on live TV.
Anyway.
Twisters.
Twisters. I was looking forward to this. I've been hearing great things. We finally got to go see it. So first of all, we tried to go see it on Friday. We had to skip the screening. We planned to go see it on Friday afternoon, which is when we go a lot of times because we don't deal with people. And we got to the theater,
walked in.
having a nice little time. The doors were locked. And it was when the outage with all the world.
The Microsoft
and that. So the theater was closed. So we're like, well, crud. So we assumed we weren't going to see it.
No, we're just
and then we ended up having a break in the day on Saturday. So we quickly ran out to see it. And we were able to see it subtitled.
Yes, on-screen subtitles, which I love and appreciate. And we were there with a nice.
Let me tell you, there was a
family
group
of
of
hard
people
of
that were
hearing people.
insanely loud. They were yelling the whole movie.
They were yelling with
they
their.
were talking sign
They
language.
were sign languaging very loud.
I kept telling her they're being very loud over there with their hands.
Well, they were at one point because one lady was like, and I'm like, pay attention to her. She's trying to talk to you. But they couldn't hear us. So.
The upside to that too is
Loved it.
everybody's going to the big fancy theaters. We're in a normal theater at Subtitle. There was like 8 or 9 of us, and there was very nice, peaceful, quiet.
Yes.
We don't like people in general, so it was a very lovely.
Yeah, so
experience.
having a nice large family of people just speaking sign language is beautiful.
Yes, very
'Cause
much.
they
so.
were nice.
And then this was over here yapping loud.
I'm sorry.
But she's not bothering anybody because clearly they're deaf.
They couldn't hear me.
I will say,
okay.
so this new one, it's essentially the exact same story, slight twist. It's story against, with the big corporations involved in tornadoes, and they're chasing tornadoes, and somebody who has intuition, just like Bill Paxton had, and they're all, so it's all the same crap. It's the same story, really.
Right.
But it's fine. It has just enough differences that it makes its own thing. But for it to work, it's got to have some step up the game of their tornadoes, their excitement, and characters that we actually like.
Yes.
I will say when the movie started, it starts with a bang. It's got a great group of people. They're fun. They look like, hey, this actually looks like the crew from the first movie.
Yeah.
And then whatever happens, and we jump ahead, and then the movie just stops. And I was like, wow, this is not going anywhere at first.
Well, and I think that was the point, babe.
I know. I was concerned because I was getting really bored.
Were you?
Like I'm falling asleep.
You were falling
at
asleep.
first.
Yeah.
And then once it kind of veers its way back into the world of the tornado, it picks up and it ended up being a great movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was just that downtime, which the first movie doesn't have that way, and I think that's why it's kind of doing its own thing.
Yeah. And then.
Okay, stop scrolling with that.
No, I'm looking at stuff. Oh, that's why. Okay, so I'm not a super fan of the main girl, so that was throwing me off. That's why I was like, where's Helen Hunt?
I don't like Helen Hunt.
Really? See, I'm not a particular fan of this.
Helen Hunt annoys me.
I never saw the Crawdads movie, and I know I probably should have because maybe I would really like her, but I've never
Then what
seen
did she
her.
annoy you in?
Because I just her look. It's one of those
she's
things.
English.
I know, that's probably why.
I'm
I'm not connecting with her. But maybe if I go watch the Crawdads
I like that.
movie,
I'm
her
not
more.
a big fan of her, but I've never seen anything she's ever done.
But no, I wasn't feeling her in this movie.
I thought she was fine in the movie. I mean, I've never liked. I think I couldn't even tell you a movie Helen Hunt's in, except for Twister.
Wow. Did you not watch the Mad About You?
No, I
watched
hate
that
Paul Reiser
entire
too.
show. Oh, I like Paul Reiser.
Oh, we
too.
know. Let me tell you about her and Paul Reiser.
Oh my gosh.
No, I don't like Paul Reiser.
Okay, but you like the main dude, Glenn
The only thing
Powell.
I ever watched Paul Reiser in was Aliens.
Oh, okay.
I'll take it back.
I just watched the
that
TV show. I think that's why I like
Take
him.
it back. He's in the Beverly Hills Cop.
Okay. So we like Glenn Powell. We watched the movie Hitman recently.
Yeah,
Very
I like
good.
Glenn Powell. He's got a couple of hits now with him because he had Top Gun Maverick. Mm-hmm. He had that Anyone But You that actually did fairly well that we still haven't watched.
Hitman.
And then Hitman on Netflix. And so he's kind of got that budding leading man.
Yeah,
with his
working for him.
Like especially with this one too, because this movie they thought might come in at maybe 50 million, ended up hitting 80 million. So it's a big hit for Warner Brothers.
And then, of course, I like Anthony Ramos. You may know him from Hamilton In the Heights.
He was in Transformers.
He was in Transformers. He's got like a weird, different kind of look to him, but I like him.
I like him as an actor, but he's hit and miss with me.
Yeah, I gotcha. That's okay.
With her, I don't care.
Not like me, who I just don't like people because of their face.
I've never, like I said, I hadn't seen them.
I've never seen
Crawdads movie either. I like crawfish to eat them. But,
crawfish at 2-5?
I don't have one way or another about her. Although she did win the Hot Ones versus with Glenn Powell.
Oh, okay.
She's got the little trophy.
There you go.
But I like the movie a lot. It steps up the tornadoes. It brings the dual tornadoes.
Really
it brings
good.
the fire tornadoes you see in the trailers. But I thought
there was no Sharknado. That was disappointing.
There's no cow this time. I was disappointed about that.
But that's okay.
But I will say I like some of the gadgetry they thought about this time.
Yes.
Like with his truck, he had lots of stuff thought out into how do I deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was like, that's gonna be stupid. That wouldn't work. But he talks about it at one point in the movie, like, well, we can drive into this one because this is how much my truck weighs, and here's this, and here's much.
He thought about it.
And if it's anything over this one, we can't.
Right. So it was actually really smart. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I liked it.
It's not as good as the first one.
It's not as good as the first one. Because that first
but it's not trying to be.
Yeah, no, it's doing its own thing. So it's fine. check it. Might check 1, 2. And then I was freaking out because, you know, in the first movie, the people are at the movie theater and a twister comes through the movie theater and we're sitting in the movie theater. I'm like, what if there was a tornado right now?
Oh my God, there's such a brilliant shot
Oh my,
in the film is because they're in a movie theater again. This time they're all hunkered down and there's like horror films, like old black and white monster movies playing. And it's not really a spoiler, but I'm going to tell you anyway. But the actual movie screen gets sucked out and you're watching the tornadoes from inside the theater like you're in the movie. So it's almost like you're a movie in a movie in a movie in a movie. Even though you're not watching a movie on that screen, it's the tornadoes in the movie. It's a cool shot. It was very smart. And
it's very cool.
Interesting is the person that directed this movie, Lee Isaac Chung, is the person that directed Minari.
What's that one?
That's that one with the guy from Walking Dead got nominated for an Oscar.
Oh yes, with the family,
yes.
living out there growing whatever.
Yeah, this movie's directed by him. So
nice.
I thought it was kind of an interesting change from that movie to this movie.
That's interesting.
But yeah, it's a fun movie, and I was watching a little clip that they were saying that I think the first movie and this movie they actually were using real footage of tornadoes, not only in some elements of the movie, but that's how they crafted their effects. They were superimposing the artwork and the way they twisted them and then creating new effects from actual videos
of chasers
of the tornadoes themselves.
Yeah, but gotten from chasers.
I don't know. They didn't say where they got them from.
However they do it.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. There's a little bit of science that kind of makes sense, and I wonder why we haven't actually tried some of this stuff. Or maybe they have, or maybe that's how we're getting more of these imagery.
And maybe all of this is nonsense, and we never know.
It probably could be. Who knows?
So, but yeah, there are some little nods to the original film in it. There's one with something that's very prominent in the first film. They don't really overly explain how it exists, but at the same time,
that was our connection,
it almost makes it feel like that's just a thing that they use now.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, well, I'll just tell you because it's such a throwaway moment. Was it Dorothy?
It's in the trailer.
The Dorothy. So in the first movie, they only made 4. If you look closely, that was Dorothy 5.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, and I saw somebody else complaining like, well, they only made 4. How would they have another one?
Hello, they made one because they shared.
Once they know it works, the people would start making
it,
them. Yeah, people would start making them. Anyway, Twisters is a fun flick. If you like the first one, you'll probably like this one. I'm actually a full-fledged fan of Glenn Powell now. Mm-hmm. I like the guy. I didn't know if I was gonna. I've seen him in a lot of stuff, and he posted such a sweet photo because I guess he was friends with Bill Paxton.
Oh.
And he's put him when he was a lot younger, a picture of him and Bill Paxton. I think on some movie they did, and he posted a sweet thing about the honor of being able to kind of live in this legacy of this film franchise or whatever, blah 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 blah. So anyway, yeah, Twisters is in theaters now. Go watch it.
All right,
it is one of the movies I recommend watching on the biggest, loudest screen possible.
Yeah, and I did notice this part, the outfit she's wearing. So there are little nods throughout. And some lines and just some things that were there. So it is actually really fun to watch. And then if you want to go read kind of behind the scenes connections to the original movie, it's pretty interesting. So there you go. That's all.
All right.
Oh, they mentioned the Universal ride. We did the ride at Universal.
It's not really a ride. You just stand there.
The experience of the tornado.
Yeah, it was stupid.
Anyways.
it was a stupid thing. Glad it's gone.
Wow. Anyways, go check it out.
All right. What's next?
Over to you, my love.
Oh, to what's coming out this week?
Yes.
It's kind of a light week. We got a Three Stooges Blu-ray collection coming out. Farewell, My Concubine is coming to 4K. The Linguini Incident Director's Cut's coming to 4K.
Oh.
Some movie called Ensalem, Janus Contemporaries. I don't know what that is. Halo, the complete season 2 Steelbook edition, and the sad news came this week. The Halo has been canceled.
Oh.
Risky Business is getting the Criterion Collection 4K with Tom Cruise in his underwear sliding around on the floor. Another new Nicolas Cage movie called Arcadian is coming out, which I've seen some stuff about it. Mm-hmm. And Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3 is coming out this week finally. So we get to wrap up the story.
Okay.
And never mind.
And
there's a kind of a fun spoiler in the movie.
Don't tell me.
That I want to tell. I'm gonna wait till you watch it and see if you notice.
Part 1 had me crying. Part 2 had me kind of mad. Let's see what happens with Part 3.
So hopefully it'll show up at my house because I haven't got it yet.
Uh-oh.
I'm very upset. Anyway, that's what's coming out.
All right, coming out on the line or at theaters on this Tuesday, July 23rd, on video demand and digital, a sports documentary called The Process. This follows athletes, their families, their friends, and their trainers as these people attempt to become professional basketball players. So that looks interesting. Coming out on Thursday, the 25th, to Prime Video, Cirque du Soleil Without a Net. It documents Cirque acts.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah, Cirque du Soleil acts during its journey coming back after COVID. Interesting. Coming out in theaters, the one everybody's been waiting for, DD. It's a high school boy. He's a Taiwanese American boy who's going into high school for this year. And it's his last summer before high school, and he figures out he needs to learn how to do all this stuff to be ready for high school. And he figures out his parents don't know anything because, yeah, he has to figure it out. So I think it's going to be a fun kind of coming-of-age comedy. And, okay, yeah, the big one that everybody's waiting for, Deadpool and Wolverine. It says it's the third installment, I guess, now in the Deadpool series.
Yeah.
We are preparing by watching all things X-Men this week, so we will have a full recap next Sunday.
And it is looking to be the biggest opening of the year.
Yeah.
The way everybody's looking at it.
It looks amazing. Some other things are coming out on Friday. So if you're not able to make it to the theater, on the line, there is a new Freddie Prinze Jr. movie called The Girl in the Pool.
Is this a sequel to Night Swim?
I don't think so. It says a well-to-do family man forced to struggle through a surprise birthday party moments after hiding the murdered corpse of his mistress. Freddie Prinze is up to some shenanigans. Also coming out on the line, The Last Breath. It's a horror thriller. It says it's a white knuckle thriller. This guy is searching for, I don't know, has been searching for the wreck of the USS Charlotte for his entire life. He meets someone that helps him and creates a crew. They go out into the darkness to see if they can find it, but then they discover that their oxygen supply is dwindling, and they're out there in the middle of the ocean. So, creepers. Coming out also on Friday on the line, The Arctic Convoy. Summer 1941. Hitler seems unstoppable, invading the Soviet Union. It's a drama. Historical drama. You might like that. Also coming out, Starve Acre. This couple's son starts acting strangely, and they believe sinister forces and evil are out there on the countryside at work. And so if there's anything out in the countryside with evil forces, I'm in, because it makes me feel Children of the Cornish.
I like that. It made me remember that movie was not like a year or so ago with the little trolls. The people that get that cuss and they had to feed the trolls or whatever they were.
Yes.
Goblins.
Yep. Another one called For Profit.
Another one bites the dust.
It's a struggling entrepreneur who's visited by an angel who tells him he's chosen to be a prophet for his hometown. It's a faith-based movie, obviously, so there you go.
That one I'm excited for.
Coming to Max. Not
Who?
HBO Max, just Max. Okay. It is the new movie coming out with Michael Keaton.
That's that one that we wanted to see and never got
Knox
to watch.
Goes Away. He's a contract killer dealing with dementia.
Yeah, and he directed it as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
I've been really wanting to see it.
And coming out on Sunday, it's a one-day only Fathom event, Man and the Witch, The Dance of 1,000 Stones. Steps, thank you. It says, iconic childlike empress in the never-ending story makes her long-awaited return to the big screen in the fantasy film Man and the Witch, The Dance of 1,000 Steps. So I guess if you're into that...
I made it sound like she's never done anything other than that movie. I interviewed her for something years ago.
Tammy Stronach.
Yeah.
Who knows? This says something about Christopher Lloyd and some other people. I don't know. I know nothing about that. I don't even like never-ending story.
What?
Backlash. Sorry. You know what? I also saw it when I was young, and it felt never-ending. So maybe I need to try it again. Who knows? Because you talked to this lady about.
Oh, it was talking
Tammy
about.
Stronach.
It was talking about never-ending story.
Oh, okay. Well, she's doing something else besides that. All right, let's talk about our contests and free things that you could win. Tell me, baby.
Well, no, Trevor, why did I talk to her?
Tell me about it. I don't know.
Anyway, I'm sorry. What am I talking about?
Contests.
We have contests. Let me tell you about them.
Tell me about it.
Stud. Anyway.
Thanks, babe.
We just got some copies of Challenger still. The upcoming sequel to Alienoid Return to the Future. True Detective, Night Country, which is the latest season. The Last Up to Yuma County, which we talked about today. And ironically enough, we still have copies of the original Twister on 4K. If you haven't seen it, first of all, what?
Shame.
And the cows on the cover, so I think it's a good thing. And then the movie Sting, which we'll be talking about next week. We all have copies of all these things and more coming up. So enjoy them, get them before they are gone.
There you go. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. We will see you